What's up, everybody? Thralls here once again. I'm the Crockneck, and I'm here to do a contest entry. Our good buddy over at the Accusation Network is celebrating his climb to 5,000 subscribers, and he's doing a really cool contest / giveaway. And I wanted to take part in it because it's really cool and it involves a fun questionnaire. I will leave a link to his original video and the questions themselves. He is trying to get other YouTubers to respond to them and do the questionnaire itself. And honestly, it's a lot of fun. So I'm definitely encouraging this because, I mean, I love weird questionnaires and shit like that. And these were some particularly good questions. And I encourage you guys to also subscribe to his channel. He does really good content, especially if you are a vinyl collector. This dude is constantly fucking on the pulse of all sorts of reissues and new albums coming out, as well as just like tons of classic stuff. Solid dude. Solely recommend the channel. Anyway, let's get down to these questions because they're pretty fucking fun. Number 1, show me an album with a guest performer who really brings something great to the music he or she is on. Tell me what you dig about this appearance as well. And I went with Mastodon's Leviathan for the amazing appearance of Neil Fallon on Blood and Thunder, possibly the most well-known track by this band still to date. His appearance on the bridge adds such gravitas. His voice is booming and commanding. This album is all about Moby Dick, and he pretty much just channels the spirit of Ahab on this. Split your lungs with Blood and Thunder. You don't really hear Neil do like more harsh vocals now. Like he has just this kind of, you know, nice baritone croon. He's got some good, you know, roars to him, but this is like a distinctly more metal performance, and honestly, it is one of the highlights of the song, which the song itself is loaded with highlights. That riff lives rent-free in my head to this day. This is one of my favorite albums by Mastodon, and I loved it from the second I heard Blood and Thunder, but man, when that bridge came in, fucking blew me away. Still probably a top 5 song by them. And honestly, one I just don't get tired of. I can jam this song anytime. I was like, yeah, no, that was a great fucking idea. But yeah, this was literally the first one I thought of for this question. It's absolutely amazing still to this day. If you have never checked out this song for whatever reason, I think most metalheads know it. Check it out. It's absolutely fucking killer. All right, number 2. Show me an album from a band's discography where a member is only on that release and then quits or dies or is fired. And technically, I guess you could say he was on another release, but I'm going to go with Exodus, Bonded by Blood. It's, you know, kind of low-hanging fruit in terms of one-off performances, in terms of studio performances. Paul Bailoff did show up on their live album that came out in 1998. I don't necessarily count live albums, like in terms of overall discographies. Like, yeah, I know they're part of it, but I count like studio albums and EPs, and this is the only studio album that Paul Bailoff ever appeared on, and it's my favorite Exodus album. It's honestly, out of like all of the Bay Area bands in terms of debuts, it might be the best one. I love Kill 'Em All. I love The Legacy. You know, fucking Killing Is My Business is amazing too, Show No Mercy, but this album right here absolutely crushes and pretty much embodies the whole Bay Area sound. And a good part of that is due to Paul Bailoff's insane vocal performance. He may not have been the best singer. In fact, he sounded like a raving lunatic on here with his big revved up screams, but man, he adds a presence, and his presence live was absolutely felt. Especially if you came in wearing like a fucking Poison shirt, he was gonna get a chunk of that shit. This man was thrash metal's spirit animal, and honestly, he would have returned the band. Unfortunately, he did pass, I believe, in 2002. We lost, you know, like I said, a little bit of thrash's spirit, but luckily there's a lot of bands that carry on his legacy out there, and Exodus is still worshipped as much as they should be. But yeah, in terms of a one-off performance on a studio album, this is the one that I thought of. You know, I guess you could say the live album also counts. This one I just had to bring up just because this is some of the finest thrash ever, and it came out fucking forever ago, and like, in a way, I think this album is still kind of a standard for thrash. But yeah, that was my answer for number 2. I mean, there's plenty of other ones out there, but first thing I thought of, and yeah, this album means so goddamn much to me, I couldn't not bring it up. So yeah. Number 3, show me an album with a track that contains non-human vocals. Matt over at the Accusation Network went with an animal, and I figured that was probably the best way to go about it. So I went with Zimmer's Hole, while you were shouting at the devil, we were in league with Satan. There are multiple animals that pop up on this insane, I guess, parody, thrash / speed metal acts. It's pretty much strapping young lad with a different vocalist, the Heathen, who is an absolute lunatic as far as lyrics and presence, and his vocal range is absolutely amazing. But this album features animals all over the place. You have crows calling in the background on The Devil's Mouth. You have horses neighing on the absolutely ripping track 1312, which is just a chuggy, thrashy barn burner. And at the end of the title track, which opens us off and has an amazing tribute to Bonded by Blood on it, there is what sounds like a looped chihuahua growl. Like, it doesn't sound like a big dog, but they tried to make it sound as vicious as possible, and, well, I mean, it's there, and it's kind of fucking funny. I love this album. It's, again, kind of like transparent about its goofiness. In fact, Nathan Explosion shows up to do a song about reading, and he does it poorly, and it's absolutely hilarious. But you have the combined talents of Jed Simon, Byron Stroud, and the mighty Gene Hoglan on drums here. Again, it's pretty much Strapping Young Lad without Debbie, but the Heathen is an absolute vocal marvel. I have watched live footage of their shows, and he is absolutely ridiculous, and again, just an absolutely amazing singer. But yeah, tons of non-human vocals on here, but honestly, the draw to it is the ridiculous humor and the really fucking awesome songs. So yeah, check this one out. Number 4. Show me an album with an atypical musical instrument. Stranger the instrument, the better. No orchestral instruments. So that one was kind of tough. Like, I thought about just saying, well, I mean, Slipknot plays a beer keg, I guess. Like, sure, they hit it a lot. But that, you know, kind of felt like low-hanging fruit, so I went with something I just went over not too long ago in a collection update with Alchemist and their album Organism. There is a didgeridoo on here, and that is very atypical for a lot of music outside of hippie drum circles and Australia, which they're from Australia and they get a pass. Actually, looking at my notes, I must have been tired when I wrote this. I put down digger-do. Never said we were right here at Thralls. I think it's actually employed really well here. Like, it kind of contributes to the atmosphere, which there is a lot of, like, Aboriginal, tribal, you know, music and percussion and such in this, and this is just an absolutely wild listen in general. Like, just pretty much said in the last collection update, like one of the most unique prog death metal acts I think I've ever heard, and I still need to get more of their stuff, and I imagine there's probably more didgeridoos involved, because, I mean, you can't just do that once and just leave it alone. Most of the time with that instrument, I just say, how about you didgeridoo, but in this case, it really works. It contributes well to the atmosphere. It's only used a couple of times, like, it's not a main instrument throughout the album, but where it is used effectively, and it is pretty damn unique. So yeah, I'm just gonna pimp this one again. Check it out. Check out this band in general. I think they're absolutely incredible. But yeah, a didgeridoo on a metal album. Probably not the only time it happened, but again, they're Australian, so I think they can kind of get away with it. Number 5, show me an album from a band where members are from different countries, at least 2 different countries represented. And there's a lot of bands I thought of going over, but the one that came to mind for me was Exogenesis's EP, Aphotic Veil. This features 2 members from Sweden and 1 from, oh god, it's either Colombia or Venezuela. It's South America, I know that. And this is some absolutely amazing melodic death doom. They have a full length out, and I just have not gotten around to getting it, but I remembered ordering this one from Bandcamp years ago because I heard a couple of tracks on YouTube, and they were both amazing. Like, very much in the vein of like Paradise Lost, My Dying Bride, but with like Opeth's sense of melody, and the song structure I think is absolutely fantastic. The writing in here is unreal, and I believe it is the guitarist that is from South America, and then the drummer and the bassist are from Sweden. I wanted to get something where the countries weren't necessarily in close proximity. Like, yeah, I could probably get tons of stuff with like Swedish and Norwegian and Finnish members, or like German and Austrian members or something like that. But yeah, you know, they're relatively close. This spans an entire ocean and probably took a lot of file sharing in terms of like getting it together. So I think that's really cool. And this is an absolutely amazing EP, and it's kind of a long EP too. Like, I think it runs close to half an hour. So you got like a lot of material on here for an EP. But yeah, this was my answer for number 5. It's absolutely amazing. Check it out. And yeah, I'm kind of curious what everyone else brings up, because this was one of the first ones that came to mind for me. And finally, number 6, show me one of your most unusual albums in your collection. Can be packaging, artwork, etc. And I kind of had 2 answers for this, because I wanted to get one for like weird packaging, because that's always kind of fun, and one just because the album's fucking weird. And I rarely ever bring up this band because they're just unbelievably hard to describe and kind of comparable to no one. So for weird music overall, I'm going to go with Sleepy Time Gorilla Museum's grand opening and closing. I still don't know how to describe this band. They're an avant-garde metal act, lots of weird percussion, vocal layering, chants, songs that can be wildly different from one another. It's really hard to describe, and I kind of bought this on a whim just because my buddy who runs a record store years ago said, hey, you looking for something weird? And I was like, what kind of weird? I was like weirder than you've probably ever heard. And I said, I'm game, and yeah, I ended up becoming a fan of this band, even though I don't come back to them very often. I think they've broken up, but it's just truly odd. There's elements that are kind of similar to Primus. There's stuff on here that sounds like a twisted, nightmarish version of Typo Negative. There's kind of blackened elements to it. It's truly avant-garde. It really doesn't hold still and lay on to one particular style. It just keeps sort of unraveling itself and kind of fucking with you. The one track in here I would say check out, and it's probably the most normal-ish track on here, is 1997. It's kind of a weird funk metal song with all sorts of extra percussion. It sounds like they're banging on pots and pans and weird shakers and this weird funky guitar line that kind of carries it. It's very strange. I don't know. They keep saying they're going to party like it's 1997, and I don't know, judging by what this band looks like, I'm kind of questioning ever partying with this band because they look as strange as they sound. But yeah, that was my pick for just strange in general, sonically. There's nothing really special about the packaging. It's, a digipack. But for packaging, I went with Peeping Tom and their lone full-length offering, and that's because I have never seen a album open like this. This is the only CD I have that opens like this. It literally slides out. You just pull the thing out. Yeah. It's weird. I've never seen this design really anywhere. I remember when I first got it, when I finally got the wrapping off of it, I was like, all right, how do I get this fucking thing out? And yeah, it took me a while because I might be an idiot. But when I finally figured it out, I was like, why? That's just weird. I mean, granted, it's Mike Patton, so I kind of expect weird in general, but that was frustratingly weird at the time. I love this album, though. This is kind of a weird project he did with a lot of different collaborators. You have Dub Trio on here, Dan the Automator's on here. A lot of it is very funky and kind of avant-garde, but not Mr. Bungle avant-garde. It's not so strange and all over the place that it's not without its hooks. The song Mojo on here is an absolutely killer, almost sort of hip-hop rock sort of song. It doesn't come across as a nu metal song. It's just kind of got this funky swagger to it. And We're Not Alone, which he originally did with Dub Trio, he did a remix on here, and that's honestly one of my favorite songs that he's done with anyone else. But in terms of weird packaging, yeah, this one still does it for me. Yeah, interesting packaging, interesting album. If you've never checked this one out, I strongly recommend it. I'm a giant fucking Mike Patton fanboy. I think he's one of the best vocalists ever. But I've been listening to Faith No More since I was in 6th grade, so I might be a little bit biased, but I don't think I am because it's Mike Patton. He's fucking awesome. Anyway, fun album, unique packaging, and yeah, that is it. So yeah, that is the 6 questions you need to answer. Again, they will be copied down below. And again, go check out the Accusation Network. It's linked down below. Give them a subscription because this is a really cool contest. And I encourage other YouTubers to do this as well. I think maybe the other Thralls are going to do it. Depends on if we have time. Again, we're perpetually busy, but I had time and I definitely want to do this because been following him since we started our channel. And this seems like a really cool contest. Plus, when you see the vinyl that he's planning on giving away, you might want to do it too, because there's some pretty good selections in there. So of course, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you are new to the channel, subscribe, because we do stuff like this all the time. We are also on Patreon. I've linked to help us out there. There's a link down below to thrallsmetal.com. Our Patreon link is there, as well as our store, which we will be loading up on stuff. But again, kind of in the idea phase in terms of like designing something unique. We'll get there. We just need a little bit more time, as always. Also, we are moving back the immolation ranking a little bit, just so we can have everyone together. We have people starting new jobs and everything, and we want to make sure all their schedules, work out. We want to make sure like everyone has time to do this, so we don't have to like, beat feet, because those videos take a while to shoot. And of course, thank you all so much for liking, subscribing, following, all that shit. It means the world to us. It's great seeing this channel grow. We also have a giveaway going on as well. Once we hit 15K, we are going to give away a stack of 10 CDs. So that will be linked down below. But again, make sure you check out Accusation Network's giveaway too, and the contest itself, and do a response video, because again, these are really fucking fun. So once again, thank you all so much, and we will catch you later.